Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Today we are going to jump into the world of the healthy upscale consumer. And, well, let's be real, this might be you. We've got a bunch of reports, marketing reports, and they're full of data on this group's lifestyle, habits, all that good stuff. Get ready for some serious aha moments.
Yeah, you know what I find really cool about all this data? It's like we're getting a sneak peek into how they're totally changing the food and beverage scene.
Oh, totally. Like, did you know that this group is 195% more likely to have a net worth over $2 million? That's wild.
It really is. And you can totally see it in their grocery spending habits,
Yeah.
right? They're in the top spending group, easily dropping $300 to $400 a week or even more in groceries. It makes you wonder what they're buying
Rocco, for
regularly.
sure. And we're not talking just any groceries here. It's all about healthy stuff, organic stuff, right? I
Mhm.
mean, if you're spending that much on food, might as well be the good stuff.
Exactly. And we see they really love organic food. They're 134% more likely to say they regularly eat organic and 50% more likely to actually buy organic food regularly.
Wow, so they're really putting their money where their mouth is, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. This is what's a little weird to me. They love organic. They're all about healthy, but they're also 67% more likely to use those, what are they called? Meal kit delivery services.
Yeah. It is kind of strange when you think about it, right? You'd think if someone's really into health, they'd want to control every little ingredient, maybe even grow their own veggies.
Right. Like, it's like they want that convenience, but they also want to know exactly what's in their food. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like trying to balance being busy with still eating healthy.
Yeah, I think there's something to that. Maybe there's an emotional side to it too. It's
Yeah.
not just what you eat, but feeling in control, even if you're not the one cooking, right?
Hmm. That's an interesting way to think about it. Kind of breaks that stereotype that everyone who's into wellness is like a chef who spends all day in the kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And speaking of, not spending all day in the kitchen, this group, they're super techie. Like they're always online.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They're constantly using the internet, always on apps like Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, you name it. But what's interesting is that they much prefer using apps than websites, especially on their phones.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Apps are way easier to use, especially when you're, on the go and stuff. But are they just using these apps for fun or is there more to it?
Oh, there's definitely more to it. They're 63% more likely to use those fitness and diet apps. So it's not just about scrolling through pictures. They're really trying to be healthy and track their progress.
So they're using tech to like measure their health, see how they're doing, and stay motivated, huh? I guess that makes sense with how much they care about wellness, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. It's not just about what they eat. It's this whole approach to fitness, mindfulness, all that, and tech helps them get there.
And, with their high net worth, they can afford all the fancy gadgets and apps, right?
Yeah.
They're 50% more likely to have a fitness subscription and 72% more likely to have fitness equipment at home, which is a lot.
It really is they're putting their money where their mouth is when it comes to health. And speaking of money, we should probably take a closer look at their finances because that tells us a lot about their lifestyle choices, don't you think?
Okay, let's dive into their money situation. So we know they spend a ton on groceries and are more likely to have a net worth of $2 million or more, but what else is there?
Well, they're also 176% more likely to have a net worth of, let me see, $2 million and 135% more likely to have a net worth between $750,000 to $999,000. That's a pretty clear pattern, right?
Yeah, so it's not just a few people, it's like a whole trend. They're financially stable, and that lets them prioritize things like organic food and fitness subscriptions and stuff.
Exactly. And that financial security, it also goes for their online spending. They are 105% more likely to have spent $2,500 or more online last year.
Wow, so they're not just buying groceries online, they're buying everything
Yeah.
online, like clothes, electronics, maybe even vacations, huh?
Pretty much. They're really comfortable spending online, and that plays a big role in how they find information and shop.
That's a perfect transition to talk about where they actually buy all this healthy stuff. Where do they go?
Well, they like a mix of those fancy stores and regular stores, like Whole Foods Market, Trader Joe's, Costco, and Target.
So it's like a combo of quality and good prices. That's smart shopping.
Yeah, it seems like they want the best stuff, but they're also smart about how they spend their money.
Yeah, and don't forget they do a lot of their shopping online too, right?
Yeah.
We were talking about people who are way more likely to spend like $2,500 or more online in a year.
Right, and when it comes to buying groceries online, it's interesting they actually use a mix of those convenient places and also places where they can get good deals too. Like Costco, Target, BJ's, Wholesale Club, Amazon, even Walmart for online grocery shopping.
Huh. That is interesting because, I mean, they can afford to shop at those fancy places, but it seems like they still like to find a bargain, you know?
Oh, yeah, totally. And get this, they're also more likely to like use coupons for their groceries.
Really, coupons. That's not something I would have pictured this group doing.
I know, right? It's kind of funny to think about like these are people with a lot of money, but they still like to save a buck or two, you know? Maybe it's about being responsible with their money, or maybe they just like the challenge of finding a good deal.
Yeah, maybe it's a little bit of both,
Yeah.
right? It shows that they're not just spending without thinking. They're making smart choices about how they use their money.
For sure. And speaking of making choices, they're pretty picky about where they get their information from too, especially when it comes to food.
Oh, yeah, I can totally see them like reading food blogs while sipping their green smoothies or whatever.
Exactly. They really like those websites and platforms that have recipes, like culinary inspiration and nutritional advice.
Okay, so like what kind of places are we talking about?
Websites like The Kitchen, The Daily Meal Tasting Table, Taste of Home, even those like Southern Living Simply recipes and Food Network.
So it's not just about finding healthy recipes.
Yeah.
They want to learn about the whole food experience, right? Like the stories behind the food and all that.
Yeah, they're really into the food world in a lot of ways. They want practical tips, but they also like to explore new things and trends, and they're not afraid to try new cuisines.
Makes sense. And they're not just getting their info from those websites. They also use sites like Eating Well and All Recipes.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So they really care about both taste and nutrition, which is cool. It's like they're really trying to make informed choices about what they eat instead of just following the latest fads.
Yeah, definitely. And, we were talking about their tech habits earlier, but we didn't really touch on those other digital platforms.
True. Like, besides those apps, what else are they using?
Well, for starters, they love streaming services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney plus Hulu with live TV, all that stuff.
Okay, so pretty standard stuff, right?
Yeah, but then when it comes to news, they like to stay informed with things like the CBS app, CNN, and the New York Times.
Okay, so they're keeping up with current events, they're watching their shows, and they're managing their health all through their devices.
Yep, it's like their whole life is connected.
And let's not forget about podcasts. They're big on those too, right?
Oh, yeah, huge. They're actually like 49% more likely to listen to more podcasts next year.
Well, that's good news for us, right? It seems like they're really into that audio content that gives you information and insights, just like we do here on the Deep Dive.
Exactly. And when it comes to podcasts, they're not just listening to anything, they're pretty specific about what they like.
What kind of podcasts are we talking about?
They're really into those podcasts that focus on wellness. Like, they're 53% more likely to listen to wellness podcasts, 62% more likely to listen to health and medicine podcasts, and a whopping 69% more likely to listen to fitness podcasts.
Wow, so they're not just listening for fun. They're using podcasts to learn and improve themselves.
Yeah, it's a big part of how they approach their health. And speaking of wellness, let's dig a little deeper into that.
Yeah, because it's not just about the food they eat, right? It's a whole lifestyle thing.
Exactly. Remember, they're way more likely to have a fitness subscription and own a fitness tracker, and they're even more likely to have fitness equipment at home.
Yeah, they're really dedicated to staying in shape, and it seems like it's working for them.
It is. A lot of them say their health is excellent, like 59%, and another 34% say it's very good.
So they're not just trying to be healthy, they're actually living healthy lives, which is pretty impressive.
It really is. They've made wellness a priority, and it shows.
But with all this focus on health and wellness, I can't help but wonder how they feel about things like the economy, you know?
It's a good point. They're not living in a bubble. They know what's going on in the real world.
Right. So what happens if things take a turn for the worse? Will they still prioritize those expensive organic groceries and those fitness subscriptions?
That's the big question, isn't it? Will they see their health as even more important during tough times, like a way to prevent future problems? Or will they have to start making some compromises? Maybe choose cheaper options, even if they're not as healthy.
It's interesting to think about how they might react. They're used to having it all, but sometimes life throws you a curveball.
For sure. It'll be interesting to see how they adapt. Maybe they'll find new ways to stay healthy without spending as much.
That's a good point. Maybe they'll even inspire the rest of us to be more creative about our health and wellness.
Exactly. There's always something to learn from people who are trying to live their best lives.
So how do we make sense of all this?
Yeah.
They love convenience, they're committed to health, they're tech savvy, and they could be affected by the economy. It's a lot to take in.
I think the key is to understand what motivates them. What drives their choices? What are they trying to achieve?
Are they just trying to be trendy, or do they really care about living a healthy lifestyle? Are they looking for convenience because they're busy, or is it more about control?
And how do those motivations line up with what they know about the economy?
It seems like there are a lot of factors at play here.
They value convenience, but they won't sacrifice quality. They're health conscious, but they still like to enjoy themselves. They're financially secure, but they're aware of what's happening in the world.
It just goes to show that even people with a lot of money are still just people. They have different needs and desires and concerns, and that all comes out in how they shop and what they buy.
Exactly. So how do marketers reach this group?
Yeah.
They seem pretty complicated.
Well, I think the most important thing is to be authentic. They can spot a fake from a mile away.
Yeah, they're smart. They do their research. They want to see proof. They want to know where their food comes from and how it's made.
And don't forget about digital marketing.
Yeah.
They're always online.
True things like social media ads, content on health websites, even working with those food bloggers and podcasters they like.
And personalization is key, right? Like tailoring messages to what they're interested in.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They use apps for everything, so they expect things to be customized and convenient.
So what about their love of convenience? How do marketers use that without, you know, sacrificing quality?
That's a tough one. It's all about balance. They like things to be easy, but they won't give up their health goals for a quick meal.
So it's about offering healthy and convenient options that are also good for you.
Right, like those grab-and-go snacks with whole ingredients, pre-cut veggies for easy meals, even those meal kit, but with organic ingredients.
Yeah, it's about finding that sweet spot where convenience and quality meet.
Exactly. And let's not forget about their commitment to wellness. That's a big part of who they are.
Right. Marketers need to remember that and offer products and services that help them live healthier lives.
Yeah, things like fitness trackers, workout apps, healthy recipes, even wellness retreats. It's about being a partner in their journey.
So it sounds like there's a lot of potential here for marketers who are willing to really understand this group.
Definitely. They're a valuable group of consumers, and the marketers who can connect with them will be successful.
Wow. This deep dive into the world of the healthy upscale consumer has been, well, a deep dive. I mean, we've learned so much, right? From how much money they make to how they stay healthy and everything in between.
Yeah, it's been fascinating, hasn't it? It's like peeling back the layers of this, like consumer onion.
Totally.
Yeah.
But, as we're wrapping up, I can't stop thinking about something you mentioned earlier.
What's that?
Well, right now they seem to have it all, right? The money, the healthy lifestyle, they buy what they want. But what happens if the economy takes a hit? What if things get a little rough?
Yeah, it's a good question, right? Like, will they still buy all that organic food, keep those fitness subscriptions, or will things have to change?
Exactly. It's like a real life test.
Yeah.
Will they hold on to their healthy habits even when money's tight?
Well, some people might see being healthy as even more important when times are tough, right? Like, they might think it's better to stay healthy now to avoid bigger problems later.
Yeah, that makes sense. But others might have to cut back. Maybe they'll swap those expensive berries for something cheaper, even if it's not as fancy.
Right, and it'll be really interesting to see how they adapt. They're kind of trendsetters, so maybe they'll find new ways to stay healthy on a budget, and the rest of us can learn from them.
Oh, for sure. Because at the end of the day, being healthy shouldn't just be for people with a lot of money, right? It should be for everyone.
You got it. It's about making smart choices no matter what your situation is.
Well said. And on that note, I want to thank you for joining me on this deep dive. It's been a blast.
The pleasure's all mine. Always love talking about this stuff.
And to everyone listening, thanks for tuning in. We hope you learned a thing or two and maybe even got inspired to make some healthy changes in your own life.
Yeah, and if you have any questions or want to keep the conversation going, you know where to find us.
Until next time, stay healthy, stay curious, and keep diving deep.